Look closely at the dirt beneath your feet. It is made of the people who thought tomorrow belonged to them. We spend our entire lives clawing for a shred of meaning, a desperate gasp for significance, yet we remain trapped in a relentless meat grinder called existence. Two men, two titans of the mind, stood at the absolute edge of this terrifying abyss. Marcus Aurelius, the emperor who conquered his own mind, and Niccolò Machiavelli, the strategist who mapped the pitch-black darkness inside everyone else. They did not just disagree on how to live, they disagreed on how to survive the raw, unadulterated horror of being human. Act 1. The Illusion of Control. Marcus Aurelius. Look around you, Niccolò. What is human life? A mere point in time. Its substance, a continuous, unstable flux. Its senses, nothing but a dim, deceptive twilight. The whole composition of the body, a corruptible mass of decaying flesh, wrestling with a temporary, stolen breath. The pain you see in the streets, the black plague ripping through my military camps, it is not an enemy to be hated. It is the natural dissolution of things. To fight it with cruelty, to lash out at the world because it hurts, is to weep like a petulant child at the changing of the seasons. Niccolò Machiavelli. You speak like a man who has the luxury of a golden crown to cushion his fall. Emperor. You call it natural dissolution because your philosophy is a sedative, a cheap drug. You intoxicate yourself with virtue so you do not have to look at the raw, screaming horror of what humans actually are when the lights go out. Pain isn't a cosmic season, Marcus. It is the primary lever of existence. Humans do not move because of your logos or your beautiful universal reason. They move because they are utterly terrified. They are terrified of starving, terrified of bleeding, and above all, they are terrified of what their neighbor will do to them in the dark. Marcus Aurelius. And your solution is to feed that terror? To build a world on the broken bones and shattered spirits of the vulnerable? You mistake the symptom for the cure. Niccolò. A man who rules by fear becomes a beast himself. He cuts out his own heart, merely to preserve a kingdom made of dust and ash. What is the value of a throne if you must wade through a river of innocent human blood just to sit upon it? Niccolò Machiavelli. The value, Emperor, is survival. Look at the mud outside your imperial tent. Your soldiers are dying of the black pustules of the Antonine Plague. They are being hacked into pieces by Marcomanni axes. Do they need your meditations? No. They need a wall. They need a butcher who knows how to herd them, so they don't tear each other apart in a frantic panic. Human beings are ungrateful, fickle, deceptive, and inherently greedy. When you treat them with your stoic gentleness, they do not thank you. They wait until your back is turned, and then they drive a rusted blade between your ribs. Act 2. The divide of respect. And this is where the divide truly begins. Two radically different paths to the same fundamental human desire, respect. Marcus believed respect starts within, inside the lonely, silent citadel of the self. Machiavelli believed respect starts outside, in the cold, theatrical arena of power. Marcus asks you, can you look in the mirror with honor? Machiavelli asks you, can you walk into a room and completely change its temperature? One seeks inner authority, the other seeks undeniable influence, and modern people suffer agonizingly, because they possess neither. They chase approval, but approval is rented, while respect is earned. But earned how, Marcus Aurelius? You seek respect from the crowd. Niccolò, a crowd that changes its fickle mind with the daily wind. To care what the vulgar think of you is to chain yourself to a madman. I look at humanity, and I see flawed people, yes, but people capable of reason and wisdom. If they hate me, if they betray me, it cannot touch my mind. My mind is a citadel. I remain calm. I remain honorable. I remain disciplined. Respect is not something you take from others. It is the unshakable state of your own soul. Niccolò Machiavelli, your citadel is a tomb. Marcus, you are dead inside it while you still breathe. Let us speak of the brutal truth. Why being nice makes people ignore you. Think about the modern man. How many times did he stay silent just to avoid conflict? How many times did he tolerate blatant disrespect because he wanted peace? How many times did he forgive people who never changed? Most people call this kindness, but often it is fear, wearing the heavy mask of kindness. Marcus Aurelius. It is not fear to refuse to roll in the mud with swine. It is self-preservation. To return evil for evil is to destroy the inner man. Niccolò Machiavelli. No, it is cowardice. The world does not admire harmless people. The world admires dangerous people who choose self-control. And there is a terrifying difference. Be so capable of consequences, so ruthlessly powerful, that nobody mistakes your restraint for weakness. Many people are not exhausted because they are generous, Marcus. They are exhausted because they never learned to say no. They answer every call, solve every problem, carry every burden, then wonder why nobody appreciates them. The brutal truth, what costs nothing, is rarely valued. When access to you becomes unlimited, respect for you becomes limited. Act 3. The price of kindness and the illusion of virtue. This lesson hurts because nobody wants to admit it. We live in a society that claims to worship virtue, but secretly bows to power. Have you noticed something strange about your own life? The same opinion ignored from a poor man is praised when spoken by a successful man. The same confidence once called arrogance becomes leadership after victory. Human beings claim to admire the saint, but they always follow the tyrant. Niccolò Machiavelli, look at your own legacy, emperor, your beautiful philosophy, your pure, unblemished virtue, left Rome to your son, Commodus, a monster, a madman who painted the Colosseum in human gore. Your gentleness, your refusal to do the dirty, bloody work of securing a ruthless succession, unleashed a wolf upon millions of innocent souls. Your clean hands signed the death warrant of an entire generation. That is the dark joke of your morality. It creates the very hell it tries to avoid. Marcus Aurelius, I buried 8 of my children. Niccolò, 8. Do you think I didn't feel the knife in my chest each time? Do you think I do not know the agonizing cost of duty? Fate, amor fati, is a crushing wheel. It does not care about our tears. It grinds kings and beggars into the same dirt. If we weep, if we rage, if we become vicious like you suggest, we only add more evil to a world already drowning in it. If the universe wills the destruction of Rome, if it wills my own ruin, I will welcome it. I will not compromise the law of reason to buy a few more days of a miserable empire. Niccolò Machiavelli. Then you choose to be a monument of dust. Beautiful, but utterly useless to the living. One philosophy produces peace, the other prevents disappointment. And most human suffering comes from expecting people to act according to your values instead of theirs. The human condition is pain. We are brought into this world screaming. We spend our lives clawing at each other for a scrap of security, and we die in agony. The only question that matters is, who holds the whip? The man who holds the whip can at least direct the suffering toward some order. The man who drops it out of virtue simply invites chaos to take its place. Marcus Aurelius. Wipe out my name, burn my books, let the worms eat my flesh. But while I am here, I will be a man. Not a beast, not a wolf, a man. Act 4. The sovereign mind versus the architect of power. The debate leaves us wounded, deeply wounded, because it strips away our comfort. It pulls back the curtain on our desperate need for a safe world and exposes a barren landscape. Marcus Aurelius demands that you look entirely inward. He orders you to build an unshakable fortress, an inner citadel, regardless of how cruel, chaotic, or indifferent the universe becomes. Machiavelli demands that you look entirely outward. He commands you to master the violent mechanics of human nature, because the world will never care about your tears. Look closely at your own life. To follow Marcus alone is to risk becoming a beautiful, noble martyr for a world that simply doesn't care. You become the saint who gets eaten by the wolves while praying for their souls. But to follow Machiavelli alone is to risk becoming the very monster you once feared. A hollow machine of survival, living in a cold, self-made hell where everyone is an enemy waiting to happen. Marcus Aurelius. Let the world do what it will. My duty remains entirely unchanged, to be good, to act with justice, even when there is no reward for goodness, even when the world spits in your face for your virtue. If you compromise your character to defeat a monster, the monster has already won. It has taken your soul and left you with nothing but a worthless, blood-soaked crown. Niccolò Machiavelli. And my duty, Emperor, is to ensure we survive long enough to see the next dawn. Goodness without weapons is merely an open invitation to be slaughtered. Your pure soul is a liability when the barbarians are breaching the gates. If I must play the devil to save the city from burning, then I will wear the horns proudly. History does not remember the purity of your intentions. It only remembers who was left standing in the ruins. This is the ultimate paradox of human pain. The sovereign mind tells you that you are entirely free, because no one can control your thoughts. The architect of power tells you that you are entirely trapped, unless you control everyone else. One philosophy tries to save your humanity by freezing it. The other tries to protect your life by weaponizing it. When you look into the abyss of your own existence, when people betray you, when the system ignores your sweat, when your silence is mistaken for weakness, whose voice will you listen to? Will you withdraw into the silent fortress of Marcus and let the world bleed around you? Or will you take up the whip of Machiavelli and direct the suffering yourself? Marcus Aurelius. The fortress is the only thing that outlasts the flesh. Niccolò Machiavelli. The whip is the only thing that keeps the flesh alive. The cold void. Who is right? The emperor who conquered himself? Or the strategist who understood the darkness inside others? Perhaps the answer is neither. Or perhaps it is both. Because a man who follows only Marcus may become naive, an easy target for the predators of this world, and a man who follows only Machiavelli may become cold, a machine of malice living in a self-made hell. But a man who learns from both becomes something else entirely. He becomes difficult to manipulate. He is calm, dangerous, disciplined, and fully aware. The world may never be fair. People may never be what you hope. Respect may never arrive when you think you deserve it. But the day you stop begging for respect and start becoming someone whose absence is felt, everything changes. The question is no longer, why doesn't anybody respect me? The question becomes, what kind of man am I becoming? Marcus Aurelius gave one answer. Machiavelli gave another. Now, the choice belongs to you.